This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
The IKEA Business Network is now open for small businesses and entrepreneurs. Join for free today to get access to interior design services to help you make the most of your workspace, employee well-being benefits to help you and your people grow, and amazing discounts on travel, insurance, and IKEA purchases, deliveries, and more. Take your small business to the next level when you sign up for the IKEA Business Network for free today by searching IKEA Business Network.
In today's episode, we're going to talk about nuclear fusion, a new note system on Instagram, and email campaigns. Enjoy.
Were you calling to me from outside of a dream? I wanna live. I wanna love you a little longer. I was invincible many years ago, and I was so much stronger. I wanna
Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. Hopefully you can hear my lawn care guy in the background doing his thing. Hopefully not, I guess I should say. I was just joking. If you're new to this podcast, my name is Jeremy Quintanilla. I am a small business owner or an entrepreneur. I own businesses such as 3T Warrior Academy, Age of Radio, Q Financial, Phoenix Crypto Assets, Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto, all kinds of stuff. We are constantly creating and innovating, and all of that is bucketed under my business, Q Consolidated, which we will be working on creating a brand around Q Consolidated going out to the public here throughout the next couple of years. But I'm super excited to see all of the growth that we have had in all of our businesses. And this podcast is essentially about my journey in entrepreneurship, the things that I'm learning, the things that I'm rediscovering, and I'm sharing that with you so you can get those little pieces of nuggets, see what my processes are, replicating them, and then you can also be successful as well. If you don't follow me, you make sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Age of Jeremy, except on X, it's at I think it's Age of Jeremy Q, if I'm not mistaken. And then on Facebook, it's Cesar Jeremy Quintanilla. But we have all kinds of great content that goes out on social media as well for your enjoyment. You can also follow my businesses, 3T Warrior Academy. You can follow Coach JV. He's at Coach JV _. If you're not part of Lemonade, I would recommend signing up for Lemonade. I'm doing a lot of like diary journal entries utilizing Lemonade as best as I can. So there is content everywhere. One of the best places that I've actually started adding more content to is my Dope Channel Updates, which is a channel inside of Instagram. Make sure that you sign up for that. Just reach out to me on Instagram if you don't know how to join channels. But essentially, it's like other information that I'm giving out, especially as it relates to investments, what I'm doing with investments, more about what's going on with the business. And I'm working to push out content to that on a regular basis, maybe daily, every other day, but at least weekly, so that you have better insights and kind of a deeper look into some of the things that I'm doing. And I'm a big fan of social media, as you know, and I'm super excited to talk about what we're going to talk about on social media today. Last thing before we get into that, make sure that you check out all of our Age of Radio shows. You can go to ageofradio.com. We're revamping that website. I'm super excited about that. We're going to make it where you can actually sift through the different categories of the podcast, and they're going to show up for you. And we're also adding new podcasts on a regular basis. So I'm super excited about that. But you can also get them on YouTube at Age of Radioverse as well. Okay, I think that's all the stuff that I wanted to talk about. So let's get into this episode. Today's episode, I wanted to talk first about Altman's 3.7 billion fusion startup, and it's leaving scientists puzzled. I've seen this from Bloomberg over the last week or so, and I haven't had a chance to read the article. And to be honest with you, I still haven't read the article. I thought I would save it to go over it with you on here and share some of my thoughts. So with significant backing from OpenAI's billionaire CEO, Helon Energy promises to deliver a fusion power plant by 2028. So right now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the current nuclear energy that we have is fission. Fusion is much stronger and is kind of like thought of like to be the power of the sun. And it's also much more sustainable once you can get it going. The problem that scientists have with this is the sustainability piece of it is to keeping it constantly sustainable because of the amount of pressure that's utilized for how it adjusts the atoms, I guess. And again, I'm not a physicist. Nuclear energy is something that I am personally a fan of. For the most part, I think that if we can get to fusion energy, we could have much longer sustaining energy than any other form of energy that's currently here. But I know that that usually worries people because of the fact that it is nuclear. And in the past, we've had, certain things like Chernobyl. Is the only one that I can think of, but I'm sure that there's other places where there's been nuclear problems in the past. And also fusion doesn't have the nuclear waste that fission has. And that's why getting to fusion is something that I think that a lot of investors in the energy sector want to get to, or at least people that want to see a sustainable energy source here on Earth. So if you don't know, Sam Altman, and this is written by Annie Massa from Bloomberg's. If you don't have a Bloomberg subscription, make sure that you get one. I get a lot of my news from Bloomberg's. I'm a big fan of Bloomberg, the brand. I don't know much about Michael Bloomberg specifically himself, but I don't see why I wouldn't be a fan of his either. So Sam Altman, the billionaire chief executive officer of OpenAI, is staking a sizable chunk of his personal wealth on a startup chasing the holy grail of nuclear fusion, the elusive, theoretically limitless clean energy source that he says is key to an artificial intelligence-enabled future. So the way that Sam Altman's looking at this is he believes that we need that power source to create the type of artificial intelligence that we want to see in the future. That part, I don't know exactly what that would look like, but that would worry me. While other billionaires, including Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and George Soros, have backed fusion ventures, Altman has made his largest personal investment in Helon Energy, which stands out for its audacious timeline. It plans to open the world's first fusion power plant by 2028 and to supply Microsoft Core with energy from it soon after. That's tantamount to the blink of an eye for an industry that's been trying to produce fusion energy for the better part of a century. Even given recent scientific breakthroughs, Helion's goal is still several years ahead of what the technology's biggest boosters call feasible. So essentially, they're saying that Sam Altman's goal of 2028 doesn't seem very, very feasible. Helion offers little to persuade doubters or skeptics, though it's among the best funded fusion companies. It doesn't publish experimental results or engage in peer review the way large rival startups do, raising red flags in the scientific community. So a great conversation that I had over the weekend with Jackie, our Coach Jackie from our 3T Warrior Academy. We talked about how the scientific community works, and essentially what traditionally happens is when you're doing research and you're creating stuff, you give that over to the scientific community. They research it also. They write articles about it, and that's why academic journals are so important, is because it talks about the different findings that the scientific community is talking about so that we as a community can look at that, although the price point of some of these articles is ridiculous or journals are ridiculous. We can look at that and make better decisions on the things that are happening. That's the whole idea about the academic journal process and the academic process with scientists. And so a movie called Don't Look Up talks a lot about it as it relates to, it's kind of like an analogy for the COVID-19 situation with vaccines and all of the scientists and that were involved with that. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. But the point is go check out academic journals. They're awesome. And so again, I want to reiterate, it plans to open the world's first fusion power plant by 2028 and to supply Microsoft Core. So Microsoft Corporation has a very big stake as far as benefiting from the fusion plant. And so that's another thing that you might want to think about from your investments, that Microsoft could be a good play in the long-term future because of its bet on this type of energy. CEO David Kirtley says the main task isn't necessarily publishing, it's building a fusion reactor. That's the reason why they're not publishing in scientific journals. When they founded, this is a quote from David Kirtley, When we founded Helion, our goal wasn't to demonstrate interesting new physics, Kirtley said in a March interview. By iterating and building quickly, you quickly learn more than you ever could if you did a lot of simulation and a lot of computation up front. So essentially, that sounds like to me that they're rushing to build the first nuclear fusion reactor. But anyways, at the company's headquarters in Everett, Washington, workers have their own reservations. In text messages and other communications reviewed by Bloomberg News and in interviews, current and former Helion employees expressed frustration with the company's progress and skepticism that its seventh fusion prototype, named Polaris, will be operating to satisfy its internal year-end deadline. Complicating the aggressive timeline, Helion is reckoning with a series of complaints of harassment and gender discrimination. At least 5 women have sought redress in the past 2 years, including a scientist who departed following an investigation of harassment, writing in a note to coworkers she would seek an employer more aligned with my values and ideals, which I think everybody should do anyway. Through a spokesperson, Kirtley and Helion is focused on creating a diverse and inclusive workplace. That's what they say. Altman has been involved with Helion for about a decade. He was leading Y Combinator. Y Combinator, I recommend that all of you go follow their YouTube. Y Combinator is essentially where Altman, I believe, came from. But Y Combinator is a venture capital firm that focuses on startups. In 2021, Altman invested $370 million, according to CNBC, part of a $500 million fundraising round that included Peter Thiel's Mithril Capital and Meta Platforms, Inc. co-founder Dustin Moskovitz. Altman says, I'm confident in the research. I really believe in the company and their technology. Both he and Helion declined to comment on the size of his stake in the company, which now has totaled value of $3.7 billion, according to a pitch book. So a couple things that I recommend that you take away. One, Microsoft. I think Microsoft is going to be continue to be one of the most valued companies of all time. And I think under their current leadership with Satya Nadella, who's someone that I personally look up to as a leader, is something that you should think about and possibly continuing to invest in Microsoft for the very long term. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is free advice. Take it for what it's worth if you want and go for it. The second thing is I think Altman is someone that you want to kind of follow and kind of see what he's doing, because I think that he is going to be a bigger player in the future of artificial intelligence and now with nuclear fusion. So I think that Altman's someone that you should keep an eye on and follow kind of the steps that he's doing to see what he's investing in as well. But again, I'd love for you to reach out to me either through Snapchat or DM me and let me know what your thoughts are on nuclear fusion. And does that scare you, or do you think that it is going to be something that makes the Earth and planet Earth much stronger and better? We'll be right back.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Right back. All right. So the next thing that I want to talk about is something that you should be taking advantage of with Instagram. I am a super big fan of this. Hopefully it continues to be something that they focus on. A lot of people that I have seen that are like kind of, it's stupid. I don't necessarily think it's stupid. I think it's stupid only if your only goal is to create engagement with new people that aren't part of your following, or if you're only focused on creating new audience members. And again, one of the things that I have changed over my outlook on social media is the ability for it to create real friendships with people either in my state or in other parts of the world that I talk to on a regular basis. So I'm a big fan of getting away from the idea that we only need to use social media to build our business, that we should build social media to build our friendships and strengthen those friendships. And I think that this feature is great for your followers to get more insight into you. So essentially what they added was a while back, they added a note feature. So if you're in Instagram, I'm trying to think of exactly where it's at. So if you're in Instagram and you hit your profile, you're going to see, if you go to Instagram and you go to your messages in Instagram, you're going to see at the top little notes from people. And if you don't have a note on yours, then you can click that and you can add a note. So like mine says, DM me something you are grateful for. Okay. my cousin said, I'm assuming this is, I'm not going to say which cousin it is. I'm assuming that this has to do with his new girlfriend that he has. But it says, she got my heart locked 100. Okay. And so you can see these little notes. One of our other friends says she might know me too well. But anyways, so the point is you can leave little notes in there. Well, what they did was they took that idea a step further, and they added it where you can add posts. You can add notes to posts and to reels. So for example, if let me go to a reel real quick. So there is a reel here by Gary V. It says, English is my second language. Should I still make videos? Gary says, you will be fine. You know how many people have English as their second language, and you'll inspire them. Okay. So that's great. Great news. So I'm going to say that's 100%. I think that you should make videos. So I'm going to hit the share button. And now when you hit share, you're going to see add note, and then it's going to say share, copy link, add to story. So if you hit add note, I'm going to add a note to that. And I'm going to put something to the extent like 100%. Let's do this. 100%. That would be super. That would be inspiring. Okay. And so that's a little note. And so what this allows it to do is once I share that, that note will now show up when you see that post if you follow me. Okay. And the idea behind that, I think it's if you follow me. Let me double check. I want to see. Yep. Shared with followers, you follow back. So as long as I'm following you back, you will see that. And so what this does is it creates the ability for us in our close friendships and relationships that we have for the people that we follow back or the audience members that we follow back for them to actually see that. And so what it would do is it allows you for the people that are closest to you or some of your followers, if you follow any of them back, or whatever the case is, for them to see that. So the goal of this is to create stronger relationships with the people that you follow and the people that follow you back, apparently, of course, so that they can see stuff. So now anytime you scroll through any of that, as long as I follow you back, then you're going to see that stuff that I put in there. And you can actually even change it where you can make it so only your close friends see those types of things. So what it allows you to do is for those people that are really close to you, your real friends that you're building really strong relationships with, you can have this as another touch point and another engagement point. And I hope that they build off of this. What I would like to see happen is that anybody that follows you will see it, is what I would like to see have happen with it. But because I think that would make it even more engaging for audience members that follow you, that they can see these extra posts or comments or things that you're saying, because a lot of the times posts have tons and tons of comments. And so for people to see the things, your thoughts on them, they would have to scroll to that. But I think that's a great feature. Let me know what you think about that feature by DMing me in Instagram or Snapchatting me. Again, it's at Snapchat at Age of Jeremy, Instagram at Age of Jeremy, and we'll be back again after only one commercial break, as long as I remember to put that in there. So we'll be right back. Let's talk about emails. So the two most important things that you should be getting from every person that is in your lead list or in your client list or your prospect list, whatever you want to talk about, needs to be emails and phone numbers. The more that you have access to their emails and phone numbers, the bigger and better that you can, I guess bigger may not be the best word, but the more that you're going to be able to have touch points with them, and the less you're going to be attached to social media. Okay. And I know that that's weird because I just said that social media is the key, and it is. But the thing is that just like with any feature that's on social media, the company has the ability to change that or for it to go away or whatever the case is. So the goal in marketing is to get a phone number and an email. And if you can get their physical address, that's also better. That's also good as well, because you can target them directly through other types of mailers or whatever the case is. But we have gone away from the importance of the email list and the phone and communicating with people that way. And I think that that's something that marketers need to get kind of back to. And so there's some really things that we could think about when it comes to email campaigns. So if you don't know what an email campaign is, it's a series of emails a business sends to a group of subscribers. So the first thing that you would need to have is an email company that you partner with that allows you to organize your emails and create campaign distribution. The one that I really like the most is MailChimp, but that's also because I'm a big fan of Intuit, and Intuit is the company that owns MailChimp. They bought it a couple of years ago, and I think that they've have been doing a great job of keeping it very to the original of what they bought it with, which isn't always the case when corporations buy other companies. So what it allows you to do is store your email list in there. It allows you to create different audiences utilizing the emails that you have. You can create different tags, and then you can create automated campaign emailing that goes out. So for example, if you want to reach out to someone about a certain podcast, you would set it to a certain audience. You would send those podcast emails to that person specifically. And then what would happen is you could actually create an audience based off of those people. Like, let's say, that these people are your 20 to 25 year olds that make, $30,000 a year, and you want them to have the Coach JV podcast or something to get them motivated or whatever. You can create all that, and then you can send them an email specifically around the Coach JV podcast on a regular basis. And then as they open that up, if people that don't open it up, you can set it where it sends them another email if they don't open that one, or they don't click on something inside it over a period of days. And essentially you utilize that to create different campaigns that get these emails out to people. And that's why email campaigns are so important. And they're also really, they're incredibly cost effective. So you're not paying for ad space. You're using a platform you already own and your own email list. And so one of the things that I will say that, in my opinion, always gets their social media, always get their email, always get their phone number, and always try to get their home address whenever you're trying to get information from people. And so that's a lot of the reasons why people have free items that they give out to people on social media. And to get that free item, they ask for your email so you can get their email into your campaign system. And I know that can be overbearing because you give your email out and then you get spammed a lot of stuff. So, I mean, just be kind of mindful of who you're giving your email out to if it's something that you really want to be a part of. Like, for instance, in the age of Rated email campaign, we only send out an email maybe once a month. We're working on creating a stronger email presence. We're also working on creating a text messaging presence to make sure that as we have new information coming out or things that we have going on, that we're sending those out. And so I'm trying to find someone that can do that specifically for me, or I need to get on a better practice of doing it on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. But the problem is again, I have a lot of stuff going on. And that's why over these last couple of years, I've been hammering on the importance of leveraging people, because when you leverage people, you can get a lot more done. It's just being able to find those people and giving them what you need. The other great thing about the email systems that you have is there's lots of tools that are in there that can show you who's opening your emails, which links they're clicking, and even how much revenue each email is generated if you have something that you sell. So the first thing that you always need to do is kind of find a platform that you want to house all of your emails and how you want to manage them. So again, my favorite's MailChimp. However, we do use Entreport for a lot of our companies, and we also use Klaviyo for one of our other companies. And I like Klaviyo over Entreport. I'm just being honest. Entreport, I think, could be doing things. I don't know. I think that just the design and the layout of how Entreport works is a little bit frustrating, and I think you could have better tools to make it more user friendly. And again, but I'm not the one that uses it on a daily basis. So maybe there are things in there once you know the system, how to do that. But I've not been superly over happy with Entreport. But we still use it. A lot of it has to do with the some of the industries that we're in. Entreport doesn't have a problem with those industries, and they let us use it. So I'm very happy with that. So when you're creating an effective email campaign, there's some things that you need to do. So again, you need to have an email, because if you don't have an email, you can't create an email campaign. So you needed to kind of define your goals of what you're wanting to accomplish. So before you start, it's important to know what you want to achieve with your email campaign. Are you looking to drive sales, increase website traffic, or improve customer retention? So for example, for me with Age of Radio, the two things that I'm trying to do is increase website traffic and improve customer retention and customer engagement. So the goal is to have those emails go out to get people over to our podcast, to get people over to our live shows, over to the social medias, to get involved with the communities that we have so that we can get a lot more engagement. So that's my goal, because that will lead to more sales over time, because we focus on ad revenue. And so we need to have a lot of people that are engaged and a lot of people listening to this stuff. The second thing that you need to do is figure out how you're going to build your email list. So your email list is your audience. You can build it through sign-up forms on your website, during checkout process, or at events. The main place that we get it is from our sign-up forms on the website. That's how we've gotten the 400 or 500 people that we have on our email list. For 3T Warrior Academy, I think we're up to 83,000 people because, again, we give out free content. People sign up for that free content and they give us their email. So any of the things that you can think about of doing content marketing to get emails, but it can't be just content marketing that's garbage. One of the things that I don't like is when I get content that is garbage content, or they just design it so they could get my email. The trick with content marketing is create really good, high quality content that would be beneficial, that it would be just as beneficial if they had to pay for it, for them giving your email. So if someone paid me $1,000 for my email content, I want to make a product or a piece of content that's worth $1,000, and that's what I will give, and they will give me their email. Again, you can also charge for content. That's not the point. But the point is make something that's very useful to people, that they'll be happy with what they got, and they feel comfortable that they gave you your email, and that there was a mutual value exchange between your email and the content they received. The next thing that you need to do, when we're working on doing this right now, is trying to figure out segmenting our audiences. So again, not all subscribers are the same. So I talked about this in a few podcasts back, is that you want to segment your list based on demographics, past purchases. If you sell something, for me, maybe things that I know that they probably listened to in the past, or where they came from, their engagement levels. And you're able to create these little audiences or these little different types of avatars for different types of people that you know that could be your audience. The other thing that you can do is also pull your audience. So like for us, for Age of Radio, one thing that we'll be doing here in this soon is doing $100 giveaway for people to fill out an online form about their demographics, about the type of ads that they want to hear. When they fill that out, they go into a pot to win $100. Then we announce the winner on one of our live shows. So first, define your goals. 2, build the email list. 3, segment your audience. 4, craft your message. So your content needs to be engaging. Your email content needs to be engaging, relevant, and provide value to the recipient. So you can take a copy course, and what I mean by copy is how to create like the wording and how it flows, like the actual copy, like the words, the actual message. And so you can take a copy course. I recommend that if you're going to get into email marketing, you take a copy course, that you study email marketing. You could just study how the copy needs to be so that you can create engaging content that's relevant, but then also tries to get them to purchase or to click on something throughout the email. And there's certain things that you want to do for that. And there's also things when you have an email campaign, maybe the first email that goes out is something that's content driven. And then in a couple of days, if they click on something, they get a different email. Or they get a different email if they didn't click, to try to get them to click. So the idea behind the email campaign is to get engagement from the people that you're sending the email to, so that then they can eventually purchase or come aboard, whatever your goal is. So like for my goal, engagement, listening to our podcast and being a part of our community. So the other thing that you can do with the email campaign is you can test and optimize. So before sending out your campaign, test different elements like subject lines, email designs, and call to actions. So a lot of times we do what's called A/B testing. So you'll have 2 emails that are exactly the same, but you change like one thing on them. So let's say we have one email that we want to go out. We'll have a subject line for that one. We'll have another email that's exactly the same with a different subject line, and we'll see which one did better. Or you're going to do it where you change like one paragraph in it, but everything else is the same. You don't test like 2 completely different things. You find the stuff that you want to work with, and then you slowly change certain things inside of it so that you can assess where it actually, if that change made a difference. So once that's done, so after you test and optimize that, then you kind of send it out. You kind of send it out while you're testing it. But you could like do a small group of people to test. So for example, maybe you could do like 5 or 10% of your email campaign, see how each of those emails reacted. If there was a statistical significance of one of them, then you would go ahead and utilize that one instead of the other one for the rest of the people inside of the campaign. And that's how you test out the actual campaign. So traditionally, if you're split testing different email campaigns, like let's say you take a group, like maybe 10% of the overall group. So let's say you have, for the argument, 100 people, and you take, 10% of that 10 people. If more than 5% of them went over to like responded differently to one of the emails than the other one, then you would just run that email to the rest of the 90 people. And then that's how you decide which email is going to be better. So then you schedule and send it, and then you just analyze the results. So some of the things that you're looking for when you're analyzing the results, you want to check the open rates. So what's the percentage that open? If there is something that they could click on, what were those click-through rates over to where it was going? And then if there were conversions. So with me, it's hard to tell if they were listening, if they came from that. So like, for instance, if we're sending an email out for podcasts, the main thing that I'm looking through is click-through rates. I want to see that people open that bad boy, and I want to see that they clicked on them to go over to our podcast. And then if not, then we need to figure out why and recraft the message. It could be that we're sending it to the wrong audience. It could mean that, or the message to the audience that we did send it to was incorrect. It could be that there was not enough value provided in the email that explained why they would need to click on this and so forth. And then that's when you kind of go back to your team or with yourself and you reassess what it is that you're doing. Then what you do is you follow up. Always follow up with your audience, send additional emails based on their user behavior, like a thank you email after a purchase or a reminder for items left in the cart. So for example, for us specifically, since we don't sell something directly to the audience, it would be, sending them a thank you, something that's free that we could give them just for being an audience member and listening to things if they clicked through it. So if you're able to see the people that clicked through to your email, you can go through and you can retarget those people that did the click through, and you could say thank you for listening to our podcast or whatever the case is. Whether or not they actually did or not, the idea is if they clicked on something to listen, that they intended to go and listen, and there might have been something that happened in between that. So you always want to make sure that you follow up, and then you want to maintain your list. So regularly clean your email list to remove inactive subscribers. That's something that we recently did before we started sending out some of our emails. This helps improve the deliverability and you ensure your metrics actively reflect your active audience. So you want to make sure that the people that are in your email are the people that are in your emailing list are the people that are active and being productive, I guess, or engaged audience members or engaged email people. Those are the people that you want to keep in there, or maybe you tag them differently. So you give those people separate things that you would have otherwise not given to the people that aren't engaged. So it gives them some kind of benefit. So I hope that all made sense. I know sometimes when we're talking about these through podcasts, which is my favorite form of, I guess, getting information out, sometimes some of these things can be lost. And so that's why it's super important that you DM me or you reach out to me if you have any questions on anything. So that being said, as I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk with you next time. Bye.
You were born in your dying, honey, I'm already crying for you.
Thank you so much for listening to The Age of Jeremy. Make sure that you subscribe and like this podcast wherever you're listening to it right now. Make sure that you share this podcast across all your socials so we can get more people in here and inspire them to be entrepreneurs and do awesome, cool marketing and content creation. The opening song was Positive Charge by Gaslight Anthem. The closing song was Gardens by Trevor Hall. I'm recording into a Neumann microphone on a Zoom L8 on Cubase as my digital audio workstation, and I use Waves plugins. One last time, be thankful, grateful, and kind. We'll talk with you next time. Bye.
Of your mind.